Hey, family and friends, this is Dr. Angel Cartagena, your marriage and divorce coach, here with this week's edition of Tuesday Tips. Yes, I'm 2 days late. I told y'all I was going to be out last week celebrating my wedding anniversary. And if you do it right, sometimes the anniversary celebration can go a little longer than you expected. And so if you need to be consistent, just call today's edition of Tuesday Tips Thursday Thoughts. I want to talk to you today about a very common issue that comes up in the wake of divorce. And it is one that oftentimes brings people to me as clients, and that is the issue of loneliness. That you have been in this marriage, many of you not only married, but you had kids, and you had this entire life that was structured around having someone around, having people around, having a schedule that is full because everybody has activities, everybody has things to go to, all of that sort of thing. And all of that is just blown totally out of the water oftentimes when we get divorced. All of a sudden we find ourselves in a abode that has no sound, no activity, nothing going on except for us. And that is a call to pivot. When you're in that situation, what is happening is that you are being called to now move in a different direction, in a different situation. And oftentimes we have a difficult time pivoting, either because of lack of inspiration, lack of motivation. Maybe you're a person who doesn't like change, and this change has been thrust on you, and all of a sudden you have to do something about this, and oftentimes people feel ill-equipped to do it. So I just want to give today some tips that might help you out in this regard. The first one is when people come to me and they are Christians, they are actually church-going Christians, but they find themselves being lonely. The first thing I will discuss with them is that I have concerns about their church. That I, for years, went to Sunday only churches. That is, you only saw these folks on Sunday. We'd get together, have worship songs, talk about how life or how epic God is, and you wouldn't see anybody the rest of the week. And that was frankly empty, and that was really not useful whatsoever. And so the last church that I belonged to, I was there for 20 years. And what attracted me to it was when I first started attending was finding out how much time people who went to this church actually spent with one another outside of that Sunday hour. In other words, they visited each other in their homes. They did activities together. It was a real community. And so if you belong to a church, but you feel lonely because it's a Sunday only church, then here's the one thing I feel very confident telling you is that God is calling you to do one of two things. There's only one of two things you can be called to be doing. One is God is either calling you to leave this church. Like you need to find somewhere where people actually care about you after Sunday. Or it could be that God is calling you now to be the one who starts that something, that activity, whatever it is, outside of church. And so you have to pray about this. I can't tell you which of those choices it is, but I will tell you this, that God might be calling you to start a small group that meets in your home, might be calling you maybe to start a divorce recovery program at your church. You be the one who leads that. Pray about it, talk to some folk about it, talk to the pastor and or some of the elders about it, see what the receptivity is to you actually starting something that will begin to connect people outside of the church when it's not Sunday morning. So again, two things in that situation. You're either called to start something or you're called to find another church. A second tip I often have with people is, this is a time for you to reconnect with friends and family members who you didn't have as much time to spend with because of your obligations as a married person. For example, I have three sisters. We're all very close, very different. We don't necessarily agree on everything, but we are committed to loving each other as siblings. And I just didn't get to spend as much time with them as I could because I had all of my obligations in terms of work, my family, my children. And, when all of a sudden I found myself divorced, um, guess what? All of a sudden I had time to spend now. And I would make the drive up to Delaware. I have two of them who live there, or the drive out to Pennsylvania. I have one who lives out there, and would spend time with them, hang out with their kids. Got to find out some really neat things about their kids that I didn't have a chance to. And so, if you have family or friends that you kind of lost that connection because you were married and with all the busyness of marriage, now's a good time to catch up with them. All right. Another one that I have is find people who have a similar interest to you. You'd be surprised that there are things all around you that consist of people who have the same interests that you have. For example, I love reading books. Like I just, in, in case you wonder, my wife and I had the privilege of going out to the beach for a week and just literally sitting every day on the beach, enjoying the ocean sounds, the sun, the warmth. And for me, that's oftentimes really good reading time. I love to read. I read this amazing book called The Canticle to Leibowitz, written in 1959, but futuristic, really, really amazing book. And so, look, if you get passionate about books, start a book club or find one to join. There are many other things. For example, our local library has a chess club. Every once in a while, I like to drop in and play a game or two of chess with people. One of the things that became available to me after the divorce is I had more free time to go check out music concerts, right? I'm a huge jazz fan, and so I got to go to quite a few shows. And so I don't know what it is. I don't know what your interest is. You know what your interests are. And by the way, there's some interests that you had to give up because of your married life and your responsibilities. Go back to those, whatever those are. If fishing is your thing, do it. If knitting is your thing, do it. Whatever it is. And by the way, do it alone, but do it with other people. There are other folks who share your interests. And so that's something for you to do. Here's another one that is probably not high on your list, but I challenge you to think about it. Volunteer. Like, folk have been asking you to volunteer for stuff. There are hungry people to feed. There are young people to coach. There are all sorts of, listen, our society needs good, responsible people to volunteer. Think about it. Do something that speaks to your passion, that speaks to who you are as a person. Last two real quick is, have you ever considered having a pet? You might not be a pet person. I myself, since I was about 6 years old, dogs are my love, and I've had dogs all throughout the years. They're wonderful companions. You're not going to get anybody who's going to greet you more enthusiastic than a dog at the end of the day, and that can be a great way to break the loneliness. It doesn't provide some other things you might need, like conversation, but they are wonderful companions. And so if you're in a situation where you can, especially, here's the thing, don't go to a pet store and buy a dog or a cat brand new. Our shelters are full of animals who are looking for someone to love them, and they deserve that. If you have love to give, please. And then here's the last one I often time point to is that when we're married and we have that family schedule and all that stuff, oftentimes we put on a lot of weight. And so one of the things I did that really helped me a lot was I started working out and lost quite a bit of weight. You want to be in shape. You want to, and by the way, the working out, getting physically fitter helped with my emotional well-being as well. So I hope that all of this helps. If you are divorced, if you need any help with either marriage, whether it be pre-marriage, actual marriage, post-marriage, whatever the case may be, please go to my website at drangelcartagena.com, all one word, drangelcartagena.com, and just hit on the tab there for reaching out to me, getting information, and I will be more than happy to reach out. Also, don't forget this, I do 30-minute free consultations, no cost to you. And if you decide I can help you, great. If not, I will pray for you, bless you, and hope that all goes well. Hey, man, don't forget, God loves you, and so do I.